My name is Jessica Holyfield, and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are taking a look at PIXY's Bewitched. This is going to be a dance practice and a music video. Never heard of this group until this was requested, as well as never seen any of their content, so I'm very excited about this. This is a Patreon request. Shout out to Shelby for the request. If you like this video, we all need to say a big thank you to her. I have a feeling I'm gonna like it, not gonna lie, because Shelby's pretty cool, and most of the time, all the time actually, everybody that recommends things to me on Patreon, they do a great job. They follow through is sick, and I end up loving it. So let's go ahead and check it out. The tension on this. Oh. Ooh. That's right. I think Shelby told me there was going to be a little whacking in here, and I see it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Doesn't it give you, it gives you a Taman vibe. It does. There's some overlap there, and I'm here for it. Yeah. Dun 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 dun. These would be sibling songs. Love the commitment from our feature in that, because that is harder to trust people doing that than you realize. I love it. Oh my God. Shelby, what have you done? I love this so much. Wow. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I do. That is so enchanting. Ooh, okay, we have an English version. I do have the subtitles on because I am a reader. So we're gonna enjoy this. Here we go. We're here for it. I love her hair too. It's interesting they didn't call this swallowed, but they call it bewitched. Take me into your lies. Shh. Ugh. Ugh. Golly, that's so cool. Yeah, so honestly, this feels like a mix of two different Taemin tracks, but I'm actually going to verify it for myself, not on camera, and then I'm going to let you know which ones it reminds me of. I'm back. I think it's just me. It reminds me of the Marriage, so like movement quality and a little bit of vibe of Taemin's Move with Famous. So his two tracks, if they put them together, I feel it would vibe like this. But this one has heavier whacking presence, but it does have a lot of interruptions of tension in the hips and a lot of tension in traces. Like, if I'm being, oh my God, this was really cool to look at, because normally there's a couple sections of choreo that I'm like, oh, I really love. I love most of the choreo, and a lot of choices that were made in the music, just hearing it just drop in the pitch and just, I'm like, yo, that freaks me out, but in like a really dope way, and it makes you so like intrigued. When they do the swallowed going to the first chorus, oh my God. And I love the fact they did not repeat it in chorus 2, because it keeps that little moment a moment. And then in chorus 2, it builds right to a really great place. Okay, here we go. From the top. So we're here. So how they set it up, it does give me, it feels like a creepy, it's like Taemin and Chungha had a baby, it would be PIXY. It kind of gives off this little vibe, right? Because some of these choices remind me of new Chungha, but she's also done, heavy whacking and Vogue influence in a lot of her work, and I just marathoned her, and Taemin. So I'm fresh with both of them, hence why I feel very confident in my hybrid attempt here. But this beginning here, I love it, where they start with the head and then they create a really nice just speed change. You can tell with where they're placing the weights on the balls of the feet, but they have to keep the positioning nice and full and consistent all the way across. So I love that, and how they're all posing. It's so cool. Different directions, definitely a mannequin-esque vibe about it. They bleed it up and they continue to melt out of it. Some of them rotate a little bit more than others, but because she's in my center, it's totally fine, doesn't bother me at all. Everybody else kind of rotates similarly. And I like how they melted up, except for your feature, she's doing a little bit more. But notice she's kind of allowing the wrist or the elbow to kind of lead, not really the fingers. And that carries a little differently, right? Wow, they drop down. Boom, tension here. They take it and notice it's the back that's being pulled up, not the head. Right here, right where your shoulder blades are being lifted. That's what really makes that a moment. I love that her head is up. That's not a circle, bless it. And I like how she has her hands creating a fun line. Everyone's kind of doing the same thing, but she really sticks out because she's the only one facing front where I can catch what they're doing. But the environment of how they're setting this is great. One of our dancers completely going in heels 100%. Let's go, ma'am. Love it. Come back in, trinkling it in mechanically, and then they bleed it out. Whoa, feels like a broken jewelry box, almost, that little crank up, and then they broke it, you know, kind of in a dystopian slow-mo glass shattering moment, it feels like. Dun, 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 da, da, da. She comes in, boom, she takes the hand, hits it down, rotates it up. It definitely is something that you would see in a whacking setup of some kind. It's definite huge speed changes is what contributes and marries the beauty of the whacking technique into the actual choreo. When you actually look at the whacking that they're doing, it's not the most difficult thing in the world, because with speed, it's really not that fast, but it's textured, and that's what brings the complexity to it. If you're not used to adding texture to fundamentals, it's going to get really dicey really fast. But I love the fact that we're able to see such tension and shifts and speed changes in this. I'm just gawking over it. So fun. And the eye contact from everybody here. And then it goes dun dun. I notice she resets and goes the opposite way to create this fun trace with the opposing feature. Love that. Do-do-doom. We reset and now we're spread out. Really fun. So it is a group of 6, it looks like. So even numbered group. It didn't, honestly, because the concept and content is so freaking interesting. I wasn't even focusing as much on the formations as much as I normally do. It's just that content is phenomenal. I love it. I love it. Cannot get tired of this. Boom, bringing it around. Look at the isolation happening with the hips, and they're creating a complementary motion with the chest and allowing the hand to have, you know, like a residual slow-mo rotational effect. Oh my God. They take it, reset it. So it has like a sensual tease, but more mischievous. Like, it literally gives a bewitching vibe. And not because of the music video influence. A lot of this is a Black Widow kind of mischievous tension, which I love. Bringing it up, they come back in, and I like how they're coming in to kind of protect her. And she's and you know, they do have a little like butterfly imagery that they used in symbolism to their to the music video. So I noticed that. I think it was for this. Last time I saw this was for A Tricky House by Psychers. So that's what I think about. Da 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 boom. Oh my gosh, I died doing that, but I digress. I liked seeing it here. It does feel like we're, you know, some people who have like a muzzle. It feels like that almost, you know, like, was it Bale from Batman as like a whole villain? I'm so sorry. I'm not a superhero fanatic or nor somebody who like watches superhero movies extensively. It's been a hot minute. Forgive me if you are. Please explain in a gracious way in the comments what the actual pronunciation. Anyway, we're here. I love the accent. Boom. They have the framing with the hands surrounding your feature, and then you have your 2 that are mirrored on the outside, and they trinkle in. Love it. Great angle. They come back in, and notice they just do. It's not even a basket run. They just kind of lower their bodies and go in to go right into the thread. In this moment, you have people that are accenting in this melt. You do see these hands extended after, when you do have a build-up with somebody else, but they kind of latch on where they create this type of framing with the hands. I love it. And the melt on that's really cool. And then right here, present out. We have your hand presented. Little whacking overhead, and then we present. So a lot of this is going to be more poses where they strike. Not really truly doing a ton of these types of overhead reactionary things that I'm used to seeing from like Sarah and Waxy and Lip J. Like, I'm not seeing a ton of those complex polyrhythms of fixed points and overhead variants. But in this case, I do like the fact that we are doing kind of like a preliminary overhead into a pose. I really like that. And the stylized hands are just gorgeous, hitting it through. They're making a beautiful job matching it with the hip. Gorgeous. And that right there. I love it. Also, you could throw in a little bit of a 24 hour. That one with the little shoulder. Ding, ding, ding. It kind of gives that right there. Dee, 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 dee. Everything that had tension involved in years past, it feels like it's come back and been a huge like melting pot, and I'm here for it. It's amazing. And they make it a little bit more legato near the tail end of that. And then we go and we transition, come back in, beautiful framing. Love that we're here. And they take that leg into a beautiful envelope, but notice some of them keep it up, half of them keep it down. So I love that choice because you got two of them that are down, but they're still creating this nice little swivel moment. Those that still have it up, they're not having this lose control at all. Very smart. So they have a form of isolation taking place between the lower body and the upper body, but it's still complementary. Then you have half of them with their leg up and they're complementing it by letting the knee create energy, but those that have their legs completely down, they're swiveling more with the ankle as their energy. Love that. Their positioning looks great. And they go throw those arms down to reset. Really nice. Boom, boom, boom. Notice the walks are going to be building up that tempo. Looks great. Everyone making their own choice. Love that my feature's having a moment with somebody else that was in the center. Love the complementariness. Symmetrical balance. Love it. They take it nice little rondage or sweep around, taking the hand to shampoo around, turning her through, and we slide to the back. And then we take it, and honestly, it looks like there's a pull happening, and that comes from the shoulders. So they want to pull that energy up. So they're going to allow that shoulder to kind of not go out of place, but it's not going to be in line. It's going to shove upward, allowing the shoulder to go, taking the ribs to pull with it. And my head's kind of a residual effect on that. Really cool. Heading it through, dee, 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 and then we branch it over with a little strike to the side. Super fun, really nice. I love, honestly, one of them that sticks out. She does a phenomenal job sticking out to me in a great way, but she doesn't stick out so much that nobody else is catching up. Her, just how she holds herself in her posture, it just really catches my attention personally. Is she main dancer? I don't know if they have roles for this group, but I really love how everybody holds it down. But everybody, how they're exuding the confidence and the degree of texture is very fitting and very well done collectively, not just in isolation of one person. They drop down. This part is sickening. They take it. It does feel like we're about to go Black Mamba, Espa, but we don't. Instead, we're going to crawl and do a little baby sweep around. This little, oh, it makes me go, oh my God, right? So they're back on the back, and they bring it through, and it gets lower, and notice that the hand gets lower to match the pitch of it getting lower. Because it keeps going. So they not only went lower with the body, but they took the arms and they're re-signifying the pitch still dropping, and they're making that a visual still relevant to us, so it continues to creep us out. I love it. And then they go boom, boom. So they push the energy underneath them up into their arch, press up into a baby bridge, but the difference is they don't have their hands to help. They're actually balancing on the back of the head to lift up, and they're here creating a fun moment. Golly, that's cool. In the boom, boom. I love that choice. Great range and great confidence and commitment. I'm actually curious on how they clean that. I'd be surprised if they did it themselves, because that kind of position, it's just easier to have somebody watch and do a correction and everybody just kind of worry about themselves than somebody having to watch everybody. It's just easier to have an outside perspective on cleaning something like this, but it's so impressive. I love the overlap of the hands. Very clear on it. They drop those hands down, and they go back in. Dun, 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 dun. Really nice. Now, it does feel like some of them, like we have a full, their props, their legs, like a frog sit almost, and they're leaned back. One of them does not have that, and it is my girl right here. It could be a flexibility thing, not sure. It has to do with the hip flexors. Yeah, she's the only one who does it, it looks like. Yeah, but then that influences how quick she gets around. You notice that, because everybody else is able to go into like a mini Z sit. She doesn't. She comes from both of her knees connected. So that influences the cleanliness of it, because she wasn't in the same position as them. So it's either she needed to hold back on her timing a smidge, or everybody needed to make a different concession. But I like it. It's so subtle. And the range gets caught right back where it needs to be, right here. Little overhead, and then they frame the face near the tail end of that. Gorgeous. Bring it back in. So textured. I wasn't expecting that. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't expecting this, and I'm so happy to be mistaken. Thank you, Shelby. Anyway, I like the walks there. They walk, boom, boom. Notice our feature goes in opposition, so it's such a fun way to see your feature, but also see and be captivated by the unison of the rest of the group. Really cool. I like that choice. Boom, hit. They initiate with that hip, allowing the sweep or ranajam to take place. They do a nice little tap tap with the hands, and they switch, allowing the wrist to lead this move instead of just switching the hands. They let the wrist lead, and a lot of these things are initiated by joints, not really hands. So I love the stylized essence of this. It's really fun, very fitting. focus. Now for me, whenever you hear focus, sometimes people don't pronounce it as focus, the O, they say fa, like, yeah. So I just do find it interesting. We are flirting with that kind of, what is it called? The syllable, right? So that's just, it's just my, you know, little note on the linguistic side of things, on how things pronounced in that way. I love this choice where they melt it over to the side and they sink that body deeper, so it creates a really fun, subtle fixed point of the arm as our body sinks. God, I love it. And they bring it up and they kind of bring it in like we're digging in a needle or something. It's like put that tear back where it came from. You know, kind of feels like that in the pull right there, and then the reset. Whew. It does feel like a rag doll almost, but we're a rag doll that lost ourselves, but then we regained our consciousness. It kind of feels like that. Very fitting of somebody. It kind of feels like somebody who is being bewitched, but they're trying to combat against it, right? Kind of feels like that, and I love it. Whoever choreographed this, snaps for you. This is awesome. God, I love this. Hitting it through, nice accent to the transition, very full and powerful. Boom, love the tension of that, the force of that. Then they take it and connect the hands as they rotate it up. Boom, notice that they have to create a fun arch and pressing the chest a little bit more forward. Doom, taking it up, pushing that energy because, and pushing those lats down to create fullness in the back and power. I love that because it allows the angles to maintain where they are, still be powerful, but it doesn't, you're not ruining anything in the torso by doing that. Love a representation, really fun back here. And they take it dun dun. So they don't just isolate it, they take it and make it a moment just like they have been in so many different pushes and pulls of energy. Super cool. Then they take it through, boom, 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 nice little taps and inverting that leg in, really fun. Taking it over, Dune, and notice that they take it, boom, as they shift it, head shifts over like they're falling asleep, and then it's like I'm smelling, where have you been? It's kind of like that, cool. And then you have, once again, very quick into something super tense and in unison. So the beauty of this is, could they be cleaner? Always. I do think with this type of choreo, the beauty of it does come from the fact that we can appreciate the synchronicity. The synchronicity is not robotic. It doesn't really, because there's so many outliers of expression, I feel like that would be a little out of place. So I do like the fact that we have it to the degree of cleanliness we do, because we can appreciate the quickness into the tension, legato building moments as well. So that's probably what I'm such a fan of, is just the sheer amount of texture shifts in this is mind-boggling. It's so fun. I like that, boom, boom, they take it. I love this choice. It's just a fun rotation moment where they go into a second position. They bend, use the hips and the arch to really create a fun moment with the head, rotating it around. I love it with the hands to complement. God, I love it. And then right there, because they've used the head and the hips, and they stop, and everything is still except for those hips. Oh, pop off, ladies. And then they take it through, boom, and it goes, focus on me. And it does kind of feel like we're getting something out of our teeth. It just depends on positioning. So if I have it here or here, it's a little different. They say focus, so I'm talking about with the eyes, focus with your eyes. Love that. And then they bring it through right here, and then they travel it back up with the head, then they rotate it around. Love that. Great pull. There's a pull that happens in the ribs over here, right here by the muscle groups, right by the shoulder. If you ain't got shoulder flexibility, good luck to you doing this. So this right here shows us they stretch. Way to go, girls. Love it. And then they take it and they open it. Oh my God, it's not all. They bring back in, boom, and then they go right here into the beginning speed change, but they're in columns. Ah, so cool. New feature, she pushes it forward. I love that. So it kind of feels like her tension of her hand is causing the rotation of everybody in the columns to move. Ooh. I love that swing, boom, and then right here into a little catwalk moment, super fun. Not catwalk like Vogue, I'm talking about like you're like go down a runway, like you're walking in that sense. Super fun, hitting ding, ding, boom, and we rotate it around, and we hit it through, boom, and then we rebound it to the other side. That's so fun how they chose to do that. Yes, the levels, because if they just continue to do this the same, which they are, difference is you have half of them drop, so it makes it more varied and more intriguing. And then they take it there, and then I love the shoot out of the leg on this moment with the accent. And yes, they take the shoulder and make it more of a moment. God, I love this. I love this. Let's part dee 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 dee. Ooh, and then you have a fun feature that she's a little bit lower than everybody else, but then they get lower than her. She stays and she travels her energy up. They take their hands, it's like a little blossoming flower almost. They bring it back in and then they travel it up. So you get a little bit of a butterfly imagery almost. She brings it through, boom, boom, folds it back out. Really dope. Subtlety, boom, with the accent of the hip. But notice that they hit it, boom, and they're traveling the energy and it's residually impacting the rest of the body. Super cool. Traveling it up, boom, over to the side. Cool, and then she travels it in, da-da-da-da-da. Ooh, I just messed with my hat on that. Melting through, dun dun dun. And now this part was really cool. So it's different than the first time where there was a huge legato moment with the hands. Here, it's nice and structured. They pull it out. I love the interlocking. Notice they fold it over. So they have some sense of understanding how angles work, where to fold it over at the wrist. We want to eliminate the duckbill. It's nice and flat. I love it. They bring it up. So having some sense of airiness without it being too stiff, very impressive from our feature. They open it up, great accent. And then they twinkle it in isolation with the finger, so it's different than the blades because this was still folded over. Boom. Woof. Beautiful moment, and they go and they make really nice creative moments where they're bleeding over. It's such a clump thing happening here, but I love it because you have levels represented. It feels like it's an organic solution to how they set up. It's very cool, definitely interwoven. A bit complex in terms of what structure you're looking for, but it works, you know, because everyone's committed to the angle in which they're going for. She brings back in, dun, dun, dun. This part, ding, ding, boom, boom. I love this, what they're doing here with the hands. Beautiful. It's twisting it, they rotate it through, and then they tilt the head with it. Yes to that. They also have a really nice, where they're catering their weight. They have one leg that's straight or one leg that has more weight that's on it. It's typically that back leg. And they're able to do a lot more with that front leg, extend it out, make it be a balance point, something to accent and isolate to complement polyrhythmically what's going on in the upper body. I love that posture, how they're holding it. It's beautiful on all of them, and everyone holds it down on positioning. These are pretty tricky positions to be on the same page on, and that's what's interesting too. I wasn't expecting this at all because a lot of these structures or how you see the sequences, I'm not used to seeing on a K-pop group, if that makes sense. I'm used to seeing that on like Mannequin or a whacking group or a group that's known for handography, like a dance group, if that makes sense. Which is so impressive. Like, I love seeing this here. Now, can other groups do it? Yes. I'm saying conceptually completely threw me off in the best way possible. God, I love it. So cool. Hitting it through. Ding, dun, 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 dun. Yes. Bringing it through once again, and then you have building up the energy using the upper body to make that a moment. They all drop down except for your feature, very clear to see, and clock where feature is still in that moment. Bringing it through, doom, doo, doo, doo. So all of this has to do with the rotation with the wrist. So if they do not have this in check, this is going to fly and turn into whatever you want it to be in a bad way. So having a sense of connection happening here when they flip it over, and then how they're choosing to be on the same page on these rotations is so important, and this is what matters. Having this connected, because it's going to make it clean, and that's exactly what you see. Even if the fingers are off, as long as you have the connection on the wrist, you're golden on that part. It looks great. Expanding it out, and then they take it through. Do-do-do-do, boom. They break it through. Notice that they turn it to more claws, more animalistic on that. The power is very different here. And it goes, ah, instead of this, it goes the opposite. Ah, crazy on the arrangement. So cool. Then here's this, I'm ready for tricky house. But that's not it. Because they literally go, dun, dun. Yo, that's like literally feels like the same. It is the same thing. That is the same thing as Tricky House, but this came out first. So I'm not saying, it's not the same choreographers that I know. BB Trippin did that. This is not a BB Trippin routine. I would be shooketh if it was. But this right here, it's so interesting to see that particular like, to initiate into a course. That's the only other time I've seen it done in that way, specifically in structure. And then I see it here. I don't mind it. I'm not saying one plagiarized the other. No. I just find it so interesting to see how both of them, it works in their respective niches of concept too. It's so cool. Picking it through, boom, doon, doon. So they don't want to let this go too much. They want to use the isolation of the shoulders to their advantage to allow the arms to kind of stay put where they are. Fixed points. That's why fixed points are really helpful in cases like this, where you have a lot of energy and action taking place with everything else. So having your arms move too, it's going to make it look a little bit too sporadic. But in this case, it's I'm assuming it kind of feels more, honestly, they're giving more voodoo than witch. But I think a lot of it comes with like the needle imagery is what it gives off and movement quality. But I think they're both kind of on brand, if that makes sense. But I see like in this kind of feels like we're kind of stuck. We're not in control. This is what is being controlled and we have this limited, you know. But in order for that to really work, you have to make sure that it's stuck, or it gives that appearance of I have no control over what's going on with my hands too. So in that case, you can definitely see that some of them, I think, let their arms go a little bit too high. So that would be my general note, to really focus more intently on the shoulders, but they did a pretty good job nonetheless. I like that they pick up the foot, boom, hit, boom to the other side, and then they drop the weight into the back of the hips, boom, 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 transfer the weight from the back to the front, up the body, looks fabulous, boom, they take it, wah, hair whip, all the way down to the floor, boom, crown, and then they take that hand, extend it to the back, and then they make it a super fun moment. All of this, they could have add tension to it, but they didn't. They said, let's keep going. And they still do. And then I love that choice with the doon, and then they take that extra arm and they place it. It causes a rotation to happen in the body. I love that they pick it back up, and then they cross over and create a thread with the hand. What a nice peekaboo moment. Some people are not quite there all the way. This girl right here, follow her. Golly, that's so good. Everybody else did a really great job. It just took them a little bit longer to get set up. She has such a great way to get in and out of stuff. Perfect in her transitions. Very efficient. I love the positioning of the hands there. Super fun. You could tell some aren't quite as clear. She did a pretty good job, but hers is so stylized. That looks great. Oh, she got there too. So pretty much these two took a little bit longer. She's got ideal format through and through. Goodness gracious. And they took a nice little hip on that. Looks super fun. Rotating it around, little place. And they slowly come back up. Then the focus on me. There's your subtlety once again. And then they reset. I like that. Boom, boom, boom. They sink low. And then they expand it out to the side a little bit more. And then they rotate to bring and showcase that again. So the second half of the course is the same, but the first half is different. This one, they're all standing, but they do end up going to the floor, but they create different framing moments too. So it's complementary, but so different in build. Wow. Really cool. So now they've all melted in. You have our dancer right here hanging up. Now we do have, I've seen this a couple of times, once again, in the dance scene, not as much in the singer scene, but I'm not saying, oh, I saw it with the boys when they did it, Quasi Fantasia, I saw it there. But this right here, it's a hinge. So what they have to do is really create a good leverage for her. She has to be firmly planted. They're grabbing her ankles and probably her thighs and where her calves are. And she's got to be able to hinge and trust them to hold her. Because if she don't, she ain't going to be going very far. And if they can't hold her, she's going to fall over. So that's the risk on this, but I love that. That's super fun. You can tell they're holding on for dear life. I love the mystical I'm going to enchant you vibe. Super cool on that. Boom, boom. I just hit my mic. I'm so sorry. The meld through is really fun there too. Really cool. I love that choice. Doon, 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 doon. Notice some of them have their arms out, some have them up. Transitions or just the actual like setup is a little different. So how this is going to be executed is a little different too. So just be mindful. You don't want to start here. If you're going to go into an overhead, you kind of want to start here. But that's like your basics. Like when you drill, that's always a really good way to practice, is like your home base. That's how I teach it fundamentally. But super fun. I like how they branch it out. Boom, da 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 doom. And they get through, dun, da, da, dun. I love that rotation to hit it up to the accent. Rotating it around, that boom right there. PIXY. Yes, I love this. Let's go. Is that what they do and everything? I don't know, but I'm here for it. They drop down. I love this. And then her voice just starts to get more and more distorted. And it hits about the same way as did in course one. Love that. So you have the symbolism right here, lack of control. And then you have this beautifully creepy moment of them taking their hands and sliding them out. I like the eye contact right here. Super fun. And notice she's doing like subtle shoulders on that to help match what they did earlier in the second course. Branching it out. I like how she brings her arms in when everybody expands their arms out. Really cool. Little kick on that. Now that part could get really, you know, unrefined very quickly. They do a pretty good job nonetheless. Some of them I think have more of an attitude position. It's more about the hips. You know, you can kind of tell with some of them, their alignment's just a smidgen off, or they're overshooting too early. Some have it in a really fun position and then they start the rotation over. So I think it's really just establishing who do you want to follow. I would say these two followed the closest together, so I would say go off of them. I love the speed change on it and the suspension of it. Really cool. And then they take it, do a little bridge recover. I'm going to give them the same note that I've given everybody else who's done a bridge recover of some kind. Look how wide, oh my gosh, it's probably honestly one of the most aggressive forms of it. You notice how turned out she is? They are so turned out when they do this. Here's why you want to be so mindful when you have a turned out foot. Watch what's happening. Do you see her alignment? You can tell that her knee is completely shot out to the side. And then you also have this knee that's angled to the corner. Here's what's going to happen. There's going to be so much pressure happening on this right side, specifically on the inside of the knee. So what's going to happen is as she comes up, she's going to put all that weight of that hinge right there. I mean, she could probably get away with it a little bit better on this side, but sheesh Louise, you can really tell she's not in line at all because she's also rocking up her weight on the outside of the foot. Ooh, girl. So for me, I'm thinking a couple years from now, if she keeps doing this, it's probably going to start hurting a lot more because you don't want to have your foot going a different direction than your knees. That's the beauty of bar work. So that's the thing. If you've always wanted to work on that, bar work may be a really good recommendation in ballet. Like that's a really fun one. It really forces you to follow the track of the foot where it's established, where your knees have to follow and stack above. Goodness gracious. So all that to say, I really hope that she's more mindful. Like this is like, I would totally stop. If I had a dancer that was doing it this aggressively, I would totally have her fix it immediately because I can see this potentially being an issue in the long run, more so than a lot of people's. So we're going to watch how she gets up. Watch. Ooh, and then she ends up rotating in, so I'm thankful for that. But a lot of people don't end up rotating in, and that's where you get a huge pull near the tail end. So I still stand by what I said, and I hope for those of you that are watching, if you've never noticed it and you've done that before, try it yourself, and then I want you to try doing it with your feet parallel and see how much harder it is. But it's a lot safer for you. So that's the downside, is you can get up turning out, but long term it's gonna not be the best for your body because of the stacking vibes. So I digress, but anyway, I like this part. Boom. So instead of going here, they went here. So I like that choice of the interlocking fingers. They expanded out. Super fun. Then we take it down. Arm is out. Really nice. Whacking overhead. Beautiful. Love it. Then they expand it. Ding, ding, ding. So technically we've only done like an overhead. We've done one overhead and then we brought it in. Most of the other things were, you know, like a whacking influenced, you know, a rotation into a pose more so than an actual strike or overhead. So I like that choice where they're taking it, tracing it through. They take it around. I love that. Do, 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 do. Are they doing like a true overhead to get into the next part? I don't know if they are. Let me go back. Let me see. Da. No, so they're just taking it and they're just actually just letting the elbow create, which is, you know, that's definitely a really good skill. I've used it in whacking a ton. Like you have your overheads and then you can have where it kind of feels like you're throwing a fishing pole. Kind of feels like that. And they take it and they use that to help with the rotation over to the other side. Took the hands, great positioning. I love the subtlety of the wrist on that. Goodness gracious. Then it feels like a freaking spider. Girls. Wow, I would say the formation's not quite balanced here, but they did a pretty good job on level representation and just content is freaking sick. That kind of stuff I think is super forgiving. And this is near the tail end. It's the first time I'm like really catching an off balance in the formation, but even then it's still not really. It's just, you just have one person that's catering more to this side on stage right than stage left, but I digress. Anyway, but how they take it with the subtlety of the hips is really cool. They expand those arms out. Really nice. Boom. Love that. Your feature's the only one who doesn't really throw her arms down. Everybody else does. Love that bleed up. Really nice to see. They expand over. Nice rotation. You can tell, I think the rotation could be more refined on the cleanliness side on range, which is how you get from A to B, not just point A and not just point B of a move. It's how you get there, the timing of it. It's different than actual timing of how A starts and how A finishes. So I really, really like the move. I think the timing could have been more refined though. Ranging it through, boom, boom. I really like the weight shifts on this where it creates a progression of the arms where you have one arm with nothing happening, then you have another arm expand and you have an extra arm in play for this. So they're building up the energy more and then they take it and rotate it back around. You have somebody else do one more of the, what is it? The dun dun. Oh my gosh. What does she say? Shattered? Oh, yeah. Okay. So she takes it and expands it here, and then everybody else takes it and makes it a nice little moment, just like they've been saying throughout the entire routine. Really cool. Take it, expand it out, do, really nice. Reset, and they bleed the energy. Love the pull of the chest as they pull that energy. Looks really nice. Subtlety, once again, you can tell, boom, doom, they let the shoulder get out of the way, and then they can take it and rotate it around, accent that knee. Yes, and then right there it initiates, and I like with my feature, she does a little like sprinkle, and that's super fun. And then focus on me, so they take the leg, it's in the front, then it steps out, so that's why it feels like her energy's more forward and then more to the side. It's because of where that foot is. Looks great. They finish da-da-da-da-da, notice that, and then very clear musicality moment there. Super cool. Ooh, and then they interlock to finish. Goodness gracious, I love the angles showcase. So you have your front up, your top a little not as sharp, but still represented to the corners, and then you have it mirrored to the side. Here. Kind of feels like we're making an eye almost. So are they making like a this? Are they showcasing a different kind of symbolism? Not sure. When I say this is freaking sick, this is amazing. Like, I loved watching this. Goodness gracious. Wow, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. Shelby, my girl, this was dope. I'm excited to see more, and I don't know. I really don't have a lot of words to say. I'm very taken aback by this in a great way. I love the hybrid of tension, texture shifts, usage of whacking and posing, and also just the overall grandeur of the creepy element of it. I mean, a lot of times I use the term cognitive dissonance, but normally I associate it when you deal with strings in an orchestra and how they play it to make it feel very eerie and prolonged. But in this case, I mean, yeah, you can have a lot of elements and overlap where you could entertain that idea for sure. If you want to see more of PIXY, I have a feeling we may be seeing more, because that was amazing, and I hope other people recommend them. Maybe they'll show up in a marathon one day, who knows. This was awesome, and I totally look forward to seeing more in the future. Once again, my name is Jess. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.